The LA Kings start slow but finish strong to get 2 big points and move into a playoff spot in the West on the eve of a big showdown.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Kings taking over the final wildcard spot in the West. We'll tell you about a great game for Anton Forsberg and history for Trevor Moore. But we start with game number 74 of the NHL regular season, game 2 of a crucial 7-game homestand, with the big game before the big game as the Kings were hosting the St. Louis Blues. We would have a scoreless opening period, but the Blues were the better team in that opening period. But the Kings, thanks to goalie Anton Forsberg, kept the game scoreless. Kings would bounce back nicely in the second period. They score a power play goal to grab a 1-0 lead after 2 periods. And with just over 4 minutes left, the Blues would score a fluky goal to tie it up. But in overtime, the Kings grab a 2-1 victory. As far as the game stats in this one, Kings did outshoot the Blues 26-24. Would like to see the Kings around the 30 shot on goal mark. It seems like that's when they're at their best. 26 isn't bad, and it is always good to outshoot your opponent. The special teams is where it was a big deciding point in this game. The Kings were 1 for 3 on the power play while holding St. Louis to 0 for 3 with a man advantage. Faceoffs did favor the Kings 52.5% to 47.5%. The Kings won 31 of 59 faceoffs. The Blues won 28. Hits favored the Kings 26-15. We've seen that pretty consistently under new head coach DJ Smith, that they have out-hit their opponents more often than not. And block shots also has favored the Kings since the coaching change. In this game, LA had 23 block shots to the Blues 14. Well, the Kings are now 30, 26, and 18 on the season. 11, 17, and 8 at home, and 6, 5, and 4 under interim head coach DJ Smith. 1-1 on this crucial 7-game homestand. The Kings have now played 42 one-goal games this season. It was the 29th game that has gone to overtime or a shootout for the Kings this year. That is one off of the NHL record for most games that have gone beyond regulation by an NHL team. Of course, the shootout hasn't always been around. The record, though, is held by the Boston Bruins, 30 games that have gone beyond regulation to overtime or a shootout. That was set in the 2003-2004 season. I will be shocked if the Kings do not set a new NHL record for games that go beyond regulation. The Kings extended their home point streak to 11 games in a row against the St. Louis Blues. It dates back to the 2020-21 season. It's their longest active streak against a single team. All right, my big takeaway from this game: 2 points at this point of the season by any means necessary. If the Kings would have played 3 amazing periods, but they only ended up with a point or no points, I'd be sitting here and telling you how that's not good enough. Well, this one was good enough. It was good enough for them to get what they needed to get. So I give all the credit in the world for the Kings for doing what they needed to do, for accomplishing what was the most important goal, and that is getting 2 points. But if I'm being honest, I would not call this a great performance, especially the first period. It just was not good enough. Fortunately for the Kings, Anton Forsberg was fantastic. We'll get more into his night coming up. But the Kings can't likely rely on that kind of goaltending every night. And the Kings did play much better in the second period, played good enough in the third period, but not a good start. The overtime was wild. Both teams had their chances. If the Kings could have played a better opening period, I'd feel a lot better about this performance overall. And I'm not just necessarily looking for things to nitpick, if you want to call it that. I just think if the Kings are going to be successful, if they're going to hold on to a wild card spot, they got to have 3 strong periods. There's going to be ebbs and flows in a game. You're not going to dominate every opponent. At least the Kings certainly aren't. I mean, look, even the best teams in the league, the Colorado Avalanche lost to the Canucks on Wednesday night. So it happens, but still, I think coming off the Utah game where the Kings were so flat, starting that 7-game homestand, and I, went off on the team, and justifiably so. I was looking for a response from that poor effort in this game, and in particular, the start of this game. And I mean, look, I will say the opening shift by the Kopitar line was a good shift, but after that, there was just not much. And because of the way they played in their last game, to come into a game after 3 days off and not have a lot of energy, that's really disappointing and a little concerning for sure. Again, credit to them for picking it up in the second and then winning it in overtime. Again, when it's all said and done, 2 points are 2 points, and I'm happy about that. But again, the start wasn't what it needed to be. It needs to be better, especially the next game, Thursday, the big game against the Nashville Predators. It's got to be a better start, and it needs to be that the rest of the way as much as possible. Kings head coach DJ Smith said afterwards, talking about the game, quote, "There has to be a level of urgency at this time of the year, especially in our building. We just haven't had enough. I didn't think the first period was indicative of what I think of our hockey team. I thought we were on the outside. I mean, we always play defense and we try, but it wasn't enough. If you want to make the playoffs and win games at home on a regular basis, you've got to be willing to check and fight for every puck. I didn't think we did that in the first period. I thought the second and the third, we did that." End quote. 100%. I could not agree more. The Kings have to have that urgency right from the opening faceoff and sustain it. And why they didn't in this case, I don't know. But in that first period, there just wasn't any sustained pressure. There wasn't any significant zone time, not a ton of shots on goal. And that all, of course, equates to not many scoring chances. But I think most importantly, not much energy, not a lot of forechecking, not a lot of hitting, those things that are controlled by effort and desire and hustle. And that eventually, of course, can lead to scoring chances and more zone time and, of course, goals. So need to see a lot more of that from the Kings going forward to start the game. Start on time, as they say. Now, I will say a big plus in this game for the Kings, something that hasn't been a big plus for them for a lot of the year, special teams. The Kings' lone goal in regulation came on the power play, and the Kings were 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. The only issue the special teams had was the Kings got a power play for basically the final 2 minutes of regulation in a 1-1 game. The Kings had a chance to win the game at that point, didn't have to go into overtime. They take care of their business with that power play, and they pretty much did nothing on that power play. It was completely ineffective. No good scoring chances to speak of. It was bad. Again, overall in the game, special teams were a positive, but there was, there's always something, right, with the Kings. And look, it's been an issue all season long. We've talked about it. If you've listened or watched this show consistently, how many times have the Kings been in a position to put a team away in some form or fashion and failed to do it? Now, in this case, it was not just putting a game away, not just getting that game sealing moment, but actually to win a game. But we've seen the Kings get power plays in key moments, get breakaways in key moments, have opportunities with an empty net at key moments to put a game away or win a game. And more often than not, unfortunately, they have not done it. So again, all in all, it was a positive game for the Kings. Special teams was a positive on the whole, but there was that moment that they did not capitalize on. But the power play has been better under DJ Smith. Since he took over, in that span, the Kings are 11th in the NHL on the power play. Since Artemi Panarin joined the team, the Kings are 11th in the NHL on the power play, 24.3%. Since DJ Smith took over and Artemi Panarin started running the power play, as opposed to 16.6%, which is what it's been all season long, and 26th in the NHL. So again, the power play has been better, thankfully, since DJ Smith took over, and probably more importantly, since Artemi Panarin joined the team. So Coming off this game, Kings are right back in action on Thursday in a big one against the Nashville Predators. Kings need to start better and keep that special teams being a positive factor. Anton Forsberg continues to put up an argument to be the Kings' number one goalie. Does he? And NHL history for Trevor Moore that you must stay tuned for. We'll get into that next here on Locked In LA Kings, your team every day. Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communications, missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread to who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo. It is the smarter way to run business communications. Quo is the number one rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews and trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. Everything lives in one clean thread, calls, texts, voicemails. The whole team sees the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks, and the AI summary saves serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. Make this the season. No opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's QUO.com/lockedonnhl. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. And what if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I already knew the game, but I never had a dynamic way to apply the knowledge. Now I can take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Let's get into the lineup for the Kings game against the St. Louis Blues, and there were some changes made. We would see Alex Turcotte be put back in the lineup. He centered the fourth line for Samuel Helenius. Did not get a clear indication of this, if this was just a lineup change or if Samuel Helenius, we know Samuel Helenius is dealing with some injury, but was that the reason why he couldn't go, or was this just an opportunity to wanted to get Alex Turcotte back in the lineup? Maybe a bit of both. Also, Taylor Ward returned to the lineup playing on that fourth line with Turcotte. Matthew Joseph is still in the lineup. I'm not exactly sure why, although I will admit he had probably his best game as a King in this game. Had a big hit that was noticeable. Was mixing it up a little bit, but I just still cannot understand why DJ Smith has broken up that fourth line. Those guys have been so good all season. I don't understand it. I think it's a total mistake. Now, look, if Samuel Helenius is hurt, then that's obviously one thing. But if he's available, it should be Helenius, Ward, and Malott on that fourth line every time. The rest of the lineup was the same. Kopitar centering Panarin and Kempe, Byfield centering Moore and Laferriere, Lawton centering Armia and Jared Wright. We did have some shaking up of the defensive pairings. Brian Dumoulin moved up with Drew Doughty. Brant Clark and Joel Edmondson stayed together, but Mikey Anderson was paired with Cody Ceci. I assume the thinking was, I know that Jim Fox had talked about this on the game broadcast, you're getting Anderson and Ceci more of a defensive shutdown pair, and Dumoulin and Doughty a bit more of an offensive pair. I think, frankly, it's just wanting to separate Dumoulin and Ceci. They haven't worked out. I think Mikey Anderson with Ceci makes him a more defensive, responsible player. Dumoulin and Doughty, okay, not sure about it, but the Kings are trying something different there, and we'll talk about how it looked at least initially. And We didn't know who was going to start in goal in this one because of the Kings playing back-to-back. St. Louis on Wednesday, Nashville on Thursday. So now we have the answer. Anton Forsberg started against the Blues. It will be Darcy Kuemper going against the Predators. As for Anton Forsberg, a 24-save effort in this one, almost got the shutout. He was clearly the Kings' best player on the ice in this one, kept LA in it after being pretty soundly outplayed in the opening period. Without Forsberg doing that in the first period, the Kings don't win this game. According to naturalstattrick.com, Forsberg had 8 high-danger saves in the game on 9 high-danger attempts. They had him at 5 mid-danger saves and 8 low-danger saves. There's no doubt that he had multiple quality saves in this game. A couple of toe saves that just kept the puck out. He was locked in from the start, and he was really outstanding. The only goal he allowed late in regulation kind of felt like if one was going to get by him, it would probably be kind of a fluky goal because he was stopping everything he was seeing. I would say he had great rebound control. He wasn't allowing many rebounds at all. He was if he was seeing it, he was stopping it. And credit the Kings defense, he was seeing most of the shots. But the goal that he allowed, it was just a blind shot from the point. It wasn't really, it was just kind of let's get it towards the net and hope something good happens, which is exactly what happened. It went off a Blues player's skate and in. That was it. Other than that, great game from Forsberg, and he improves to 12, 11, and 5 on the season. Afterwards, he was asked about his performance, and he said, quote, "I just tried to work hard. They were doing a good job of getting pucks to the net when guys were in front of the net. Tried to shoot from the D. I thought their guys boxed that really well, and then it was up to me to try and find the puck somehow, and it worked out pretty well," end quote. So a very modest Anton Forsberg. But he was clearly the best player on the ice and obviously the best player for the Kings. I have said that I have liked Forsberg a bit better than Darcy Kuemper since the Olympic break, but the numbers don't back me up. Forsberg is 3-4 since the break, 3.20 goals against average and an .896 save percentage. Darcy Kuemper is 4-3. His goals against average is at .292. His save percentage is .881. Each of them have one shutout. So it is close, but I would say slight advantage to Kuemper, and I get why the Kings are going with him as the number one. I don't think there's any kind of real controversy here at this point, and that's why we're going to see, or why we saw Forsberg against the Blues and Darcy Kuemper against the Predators on Thursday. If you feel Darcy Kuemper is your number one, that's who should be starting against Nashville in that big game. But great game for Anton Forsberg. Really good job against the St. Louis Blues. Trevor Moore scored the overtime game winner, and what a goal it was. He gets the puck deep in the King zone. He'd just come off on a line change, so he had a lot of energy, a lot of speed. Skated past the defender around the blue line, got body position on him, moved in towards the net, shielded the defenseman off with his body, and even grabbed his stick and briefly moved it. And then in one motion, he shoots it right into the top corner of the net. Perfectly placed. A beautiful goal. Very impressive to do that at high speed. And he wins the game. His 11th goal of the season, 25th point of the year. But just great to see Moore step up in a key situation. And we had an email recently, I think it was from Brian de Mission Viejo, who said, "Why are we not seeing Trevor Moore getting ice time in overtime?" And I remember thinking, yeah, you're right. I don't know why he wouldn't be. Well, he did in this game. And I have to believe going forward, if the situation arises, he will be getting more ice time in overtime. And also a historic goal for Trevor Moore. This was the first overtime goal of his career, which I was a little surprised at. But how about this? According to LA Kings insider Zach Dooley, Trevor Moore is the first California-born player, Thousand Oaks, of course, to score an overtime game-winning goal for a California-based team. No California-born player had scored an overtime game-winning goal while playing for a California team. That's pretty wild. I'm really surprised by that. Trevor Moore said afterwards, quote, "We feel like every game right now is a really important game, must-win game, so it's fun to play in those games. It's fun for it to be an important game every night. We have to keep our foot on the gas," end quote. Adrian Kempe gets the Kings' first goal. I mentioned it was on the power play. Starts with an Anze Kopitar face-off win. Power play, of course, runs through Artemi Panarin. He gets it down low to Alex Laferriere, who makes a no-look backhand pass through the top of the crease to Kempe at the back, kind of the back door, and he puts it into a pretty open net. Very sweet pass by Laffy. 19th assist for him, 37th point. And Juice with the finish. He now has a team-leading 28 goals on the season, just his 4th power play goal of the year. He now has 63 points. And Artemi Panarin gets an assist as well. He has 50 assists now on the season. And in 18 games with the Kings, he's got 19 points, 7 goals, and 12 assists. Kempe gets that big goal. He also had a clean breakaway in overtime, but couldn't finish. So thankfully, that did not come back to haunt him or the Kings. Jared Wright had his first NHL goal waved off in the second period on a goalie interference call on Joel Armia. Armia's skates were never in the crease, but he did make contact with Blues goalie Jordan Bennington, who was in the crease. Probably the right call, as much as I didn't want to see it. The Kings didn't challenge it, nor should they have. But I will say Jared Wright has provided a lot of energy, a lot of speed. In the last few games, he's gotten some scoring chances. He is very close to getting that first NHL goal. And this was just a follow-up of a shot where he puts the rebound in. Good hard-working effort by him, and I think he's going to get that first NHL goal here soon at some point. All right, real quick, as far as the defensive pairings, CC and Anderson, both were a -1 in this game, but as I mentioned, that goal that the Kings gave up was a pretty fluky goal. Can't blame CC or Anderson on that. I thought they were fine together. And Brian Dumoulin and Drew Doughty, Doughty did have a secondary assist on the overtime game winner. Dumoulin had a decent scoring chance in the second period. Doughty a +1. Dumoulin was an even player. It was okay. We'll see how long they stick with that and how they do with those new defensive pairings going forward. Final check of the player stats. Goals for Adrian Kempe and Trevor Moore. Assists for Anze Kopitar, Alex Laferriere, Artemi Panarin, and Drew Doughty. Trevor Moore led the Kings with 6 shots on goal. Adrian Kempe had 5. Joel Edmondson led the Kings in hits and block shots with 4 each. Drew Doughty led the Kings in ice time, 22 minutes and 20 seconds. And Scott Lawton was the best face-off percentage, 63.3%. He won 7 face-offs, lost 4. He was put out on the ice specifically to take that opening face-off for overtime, and he did win that face-off. The Kings have moved into the final wildcard spot in the West for now, and we will also give out 3 crowns. We'll do that next year on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. The tournament is here, and it's one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip-off to the final cut down of the nets. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets for every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the entire tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same-game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there is something new, different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the brackets unfold. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action. Don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club. You get ad-free episodes and access to group chats on Discord. Head to lockedonlakings.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes. Do you want to crown 3 Kings for this Kings victory? And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that Anton Forsberg was not named the #1 star of the game. Matter of fact, he wasn't one of the top 3 stars of the game. I do not know how that happens. I'm not, going to lose any sleep over it. But I thought that was ridiculous. So we here on Locked On LA Kings will correct that miscarriage of justice. And the 3 Kings that will receive crowns for good performances in this game: Adrian Kempe with a goal, Trevor Moore with the overtime game-winning goal, and Anton Forsberg with his 24-save effort gets a crown. We usually don't do it 1, 2, or 3, but if we were, Anton Forsberg would have the crown with the most jewels in it. He was definitely the best player in this one. All right, checking games of note from from Wednesday. that had impact on the Kings playoffs. The Kings, of course, beat the Blues 2-1 in overtime. The Sharks edged the Ducks. Thanks for nothing, Anaheim. 4-3 was the final. I apologize for forgetting to, if you're watching on YouTube, put up the standings as far as it goes right now. So I will have to read them to you. The people on the podcast are like, you do that anyway. So the Ducks have 87 points. They are on top in the Pacific Division. They're 2 points up on the Oilers. Vegas is in third place with 82 points. And then the LA Kings are in fourth with 78. So LA is 4 points behind Vegas for that third spot in the Pacific. The Kings do have a game in hand on Vegas as well. San Jose is at 77 points. They're in fifth place. Seattle at 75 points. They're in sixth. And Calgary and Vancouver, no need to read where they are. So, but more importantly, the wild card standings. Utah has the number one wild card spot in the West with 82 points. And the LA Kings are now in the final wild card spot as it stands right now with 78 points. They have one more point than the San Jose Sharks and one more point than the Nashville Predators. The Winnipeg Jets somehow are still in this, 2 points back of the Kings. But if you look at, the immediate threats, if you want to call them that, for the Kings are San Jose and Nashville. The Sharks do have a game in hand, so they've played one fewer game than the Kings and the Predators, who will go head-to-head on Thursday. So it is a tight race, as we would expect. But right now, as it stands right now, the LA Kings are holding on to the final wildcard spot in the West by 1 point. And coming up on Thursday, it is the Kings versus the Predators. Kings must win to stay in that final wildcard spot. They get 2 points, then they stay where they are. If Nashville gets 2 points, if Nashville gets 1 point, if the Kings lose an overtime or a shootout, then the Kings would fall out of that final wildcard spot. The Predators have the tiebreaker over the Kings. So the Kings have to get 2 points, have to win that game to stay where they are. We talked about Darcy Kemper, going to get the start in that one. And if you somehow missed it, I would encourage you to check out the Kings Predators crossover show we had the other day with Locked On Predators host Jack Williams, where he and I discussed the two big matchups coming up between the Kings and the Predators that could very well decide who's in the playoffs and who is not. Also coming up on Thursday, little scoreboard watching, you've got the Jets at the Stars. Sharks host the Maple Leafs. Kraken are at home against the Mammoth, and the Golden Knights will be hosting the Flames. One final note, congratulations to Kevin Fiala and wife Jessica on baby number 2. Zoe Lou, I believe, was the name. I want to say the 5th child born this season for an LA Kings player. There have been a lot of babies born on the LA Kings roster. And Everydayer Jay did message me to say he thinks, or maybe it was a friend of his told him, he thinks that the reason why the Kings have had such a poor home record this season, nobody's getting any sleep because of all those new babies this season. And I got to be honest, it's not the craziest theory I've ever heard. Now, I'm not really qualified to speak on that. Have not had any babies in my house. But I have heard stories. And if you are a father or a mother that's listening to this, I'm sure you can speak onto it much more intelligently than I can. But maybe that's why the Kings have not had a good home record this season. I don't have a good explanation for it, so I guess that's as good of an explanation as any. But again, congratulations to Kevin Fiala and wife Jessica on their new bundle of joy. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On LA Kings so you get all the latest episodes. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is for you. Get Locked On LA Kings ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonlakings.supercast.com. For you everydayers, those who listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day, our next show will be a recap of that big Kings-Predators game on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. There's also going to be Anjay Kopitar celebration before that game as well. So we're going to be talking about Kings-Predators on our next show. And then the following show will be our fan feedback show. If you want to get an email in for that, lockedoneddie@gmail.com is the address, EDDIE. And if you're watching on YouTube, we always welcome your comments in the comment section, and stay connected with the show on social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are at Locked On LA Kings. If you want to see more of me, You can check out Locked On NHL Game Night. It's a nightly podcast and YouTube show that recaps the night in the NHL. I'm usually on there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and occasionally Sunday. And there's also the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show, now in its 20th year of covering the NHL. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you for listening and watching Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, go Kings, go.